What's going on, everyone? Talen here, and welcome to another account progression video. Okay, so as you probably noticed, I am actually on a different device right now. So I am using my iPad because with the recent, well, not recent anymore, but the iOS update allowing you to screen record, I figured I would give it a try because my iPad runs the game a lot better than my phone, a lot less lag, and it's just more fluid, so it's a little better in terms of like gameplay and stuff like that. But I have noticed that on the iPad here, it does kind of record in a weird resolution, so it's not like the standard widescreen resolution that fits like your TV or your computer very well or easily. So yeah, it's in some weird format. It's like what, 4:3, no, 3:4 or something like that instead of the 16:9. So anyway, let me know if this resolution looks a little too weird, if you like it or not. So this is going to be my first Future Fight video that I've recorded on my tablet here. So yeah, just let me know how it turns out, if you like the quality of this, if the resolution is just too weird and you prefer me to record on my phone again, even though it is a little probably choppier during like battle scenes on my phone. And also I've noticed on the iPad here, I don't know, the microphone's a little more sensitive or something like that, so you can actually hear my my hands when I like adjust my hands on the back of the iPad. If it makes like if I slide my fingers at all on the back of the iPad, you can kind of like hear that sound, which I know can probably be quite annoying for some people. So I'm trying to not move my hands very much at all, just adjust them very carefully when I'm playing. But anyway, that's just enough of that beginning rant there. We are going to be focusing on Hela for this video, so I am going to be tier 2ing Hela today. And yeah, I decided to tier 2 her because I really like the way she plays with her new uniform here, and I actually am getting pretty close to getting her uniform to mythic. So I figured if I'm investing all of that in her, why not bring her to tier 2 as well? So let's take a look at her before we actually go ahead and tier 2 her. So right now, let's see, I have crit rate on her gear because I believe their other stats were, well, I guess I could put that to ignore defense, that is only at 45%. But anyway, we're capped at skill cooldown. Her ignore defense is 45%, and that extra little crit rate that we get gets her up to 45%, which is nice because I do like to be around 50% for crit rate if I can. And now let's go ahead and check out her skills here. So I do have her third skill leveled up to get the extra stats on her summons. Her second skill is leveled up so we can get that decrease to all defense on enemies, the all attack and all resistance, which is nice. Her fourth skill here I had leveled up because without her uniform this was a reduced buff duration and reduced buff like potency of the enemies, but now it changed to just a invincibility, which is nice actually because I do like having that invincible option there because it helps with her survivability, so that is still good. But I do kind of miss the fourth skill's debuff effect, which was pretty nice. Anyway, now let's go ahead and check out our ISO 8. So we do have Hawk's Eye on her. Debating changing that because I do have an excess amount of skill cooldown right now because I have been messing around with my cards again, but I do plan to swap out one card and I will be losing 5% skill cooldown, so I might actually need to keep this on her. I will figure that out once I'm finished rolling that card. Anyway, let's check out her custom gear here. So we have ignore defense and invincibility. Going with invincibility because she still does need some help with survivability. She definitely has a lot more survivability with this uniform, but you do have to be really careful when playing her because you do have to time your skills and get the rotation down pretty well for her to stay protected for a majority of the battle. So I find that having this invincibility obelisk will help cover any kind of mistakes that I have when making or doing my skill rotation. But anyway, let's get on to the main event here. So let's go ahead and tier 2 her. So I am actually going to be using a ticket on her because I have the 322 bios that I need for her last step on the uniform, getting it to mythic. So I think I'll use a ticket on her because I do have 4 of them. One of these is going to go to Valkyrie, and then I have 2 more to play around with. So let's go ahead and use a ticket here and get Hela to tier 2. Boom, alright, there we go. So, then we have the Throne of the Nephilim. Very nice. Let's go ahead and go out here. Queen of Hell, yes, yes. So let's go ahead and see what her tier 2 actually did for her. Let's go over. Alright, so tier 2 is pretty short, but anyway, it gives her guaranteed dodge by 25% and increase all debuff effects by 25%. So it's a pretty basic tier 2, nothing crazy about it, but the the guaranteed dodge is quite nice because that will also help with her survivability, and 25% it's a decent amount. I would like it to be a little bit higher, but that is still pretty nice. And of course that debuff is mainly just going to be affecting her her second skill here. So this is just going to last a little bit longer, which is nice because she doesn't have anything else. Unless bleed counts as a debuff. Actually, I think it does. Yeah, so the bleed's going to last a little bit longer as well. And then besides that, those are the only things that are really going to get affected. Well, the bind here is going to probably be a little bit longer as well. So yeah, it seems like it'll be pretty useful. So now let's go ahead and try her out now that she is freshly tier 2'd. Okay, so here we have floor 23 of Shadowland, and it is the Ultron Rumble. So this will be perfect to use our freshly tier 2'd Hela on. I did try her out at tier 1 on here just to see how she would do, and it was a little tough to keep her alive actually, because she would be targeting one of the Ultrons and then they'd summon all of their minions, and she has to be really close to them to initiate her attacks, which is kind of annoying. So she'd be trying to run through all the clones, but she couldn't run through them, so she'd get stuck and then die before she could get over to the Ultron that she's targeting. So anyway, we're going to throw in my almost finished Ebony, and then we're going to throw in our Ultron, just to see if we get a little more crowd control going on, because when all 3 of them summoned all of their clones at once, that's pretty much when Hela was getting into trouble, just because, like I said, she couldn't get to the Ultron that she was targeting, and that's what would get her killed, not necessarily because of the skill rotations or anything like that. If you could keep the skills going in a good order, she pretty much stays alive, but when she gets a little too far away from her targets, that's when we start getting into trouble. So, doing okay so far. And as you can see, she lost targeting for a second there, and that almost got us killed. I'm surprised, why am I... Oh, my attack got canceled out. I was too far away from the Ultron, apparently. Also, if you do notice, only her first skill is like an instant iframe. When you use the 5th and the 3rd skill, it takes a little bit of time for her to activate the skill. She kind of like has to do a little movement or something like that before the skill actually starts animating, so that's not going to be an instant iframe, and that can get you killed sometimes. But as you can see, she's still a lot better with this uniform. It's just really fun to play because of all of the kind of effects that she has going on the screen. I love all of the chains, and just the just animations that she has with this uniform are just really cool looking. But anyway, Hela here I think is a decent tier 2 if you have her uniform, but she wouldn't be one of the first tier 2s that I would get. If you do buy her uniform though, she's going to be useful even at tier 1, of course, for Shadowland, because all she really gets from her tier 2 is that little bit of extra guaranteed dodge, and then of course just a damage boost because of the stat increase, and just from being at tier 2 in general. So that would pretty much be the only reason you want to tier 2 her. So she'd probably be a later tier 2, and just kind of like a fun tier 2 that you would get after you have all of your primary tier 2s that you need for just like Extreme Alliance Battle, World Boss Ultimate, and those kind of things. So anyway, that was kind of my thoughts on Hela here. A very nice character now, And of course, I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next one.